Hello, everybody. Hopefully you guys can see me, hear me, whatever. I've got it on Wi-Fi, so we should be good to go. Listen, I know a lot of people are probably out doing a lot of things with family right now, given the fact that it is Memorial Day weekend. People are out there honoring our fallen soldiers, men and women, and spending time with family, doing things that are very important to them. And I think that is absolutely amazing. But we do need to talk about a couple of things that have happened in the last 24 hours that I personally find to be extremely interesting. And I'm sure a lot of you will as well, whether you're watching it live or you're catching it later. For those of you that are here live, thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all immensely taking time out of your day to be here live. Let's just go ahead and jump into a little bit of everything. Ready? Y'all ready for this? So, numerous things we're going to talk about, just to give you a heads up so you know if you want to stay or if you want to go back to whatever you're doing. We're going to talk about Russia, Ukraine, and what just transpired there. Obviously, we're going to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about the big, beautiful bill and what is actually going on with that, especially when it comes to Medicaid, the truths, the non-truths that have been pretty much busted wide open is the way to put this right now on the news. And we're also going to talk about everybody's favorite topic, a little bit of George Floyd. So the reason I want to talk about a little bit of George Floyd, which I generally would not, because y'all know, I'm sure you already know, it was the dumbest thing in the world that sets this country on its ass, basically. I mean, the riots, the burning of things. I will never understand destroying your own city. Like, how dumb do you have to be to destroy your own city? But anyway, what's going on is, let me pull up all of my information here. So today is 5 years since the whole George Floyd fiasco, as some people would call it, or issue or whatever, since the man who died from drugs. Yes, there was a knee on his neck and there was a lot of issues, a lot of things going on there. But at the end of the day, George Floyd was not a saint. There was nothing that should result in him having statues of himself everywhere. That's my personal thought. We do not have to agree on this, but for me, I don't agree that there should be statues of George Floyd anywhere at all. But right now, today is the 5-year anniversary of this. And so if you get on social media, your timeline will be flooded with George Floyd stuff, right? Now, what's interesting as all get out to me is that people are still out there protesting. So this is in Chicago. Wait, nope, wrong one. Hold on. I'm on the wrong one right now. This is in Chicago. We don't need volume for this. Can I make this thing bigger? That's what he said. This is Chicago right now, where they are protesting for George Floyd, not against him, but for him. They are protesting for him, to remember him for some reason. I'm still not exactly quite sure why they're remembering him. I don't really know. So you have protests in Chicago, right? Then you have, let me see if I can continue scrolling here. I want everybody to remember exactly what happened after George Floyd. This is cities burning, like they literally set their own cities on fire. So this was, just as a reminder, today is the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's death, which sparked nationwide protests and riots across the country. You guys remember, this is also what started, not really what started, the whole race thing has been huge forever and a day, right? But every once in a while, it feels like they throw something out there to really push that racial divide. George Floyd was it 5 years ago. Kamala Harris was it during the whole election period time. Right now, it's all of the rage bait is what I call it, that you see all over social media, and they're only showing Black individuals fighting or stealing or doing all these things. They're not showing the white people that are doing it. They're only showing Black people, so that you have Black fatigue. There's always this push for this massive racial divide, right? And right now, the fact that it is the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd, I feel like over the next couple days, we're going to see that even bigger, even more pronounced. So you have videos of, what's her name? Brittney Griner, which that's a man, baby. Brittney Griner going around talking about Caitlin Clark. People are reading her lips and she says, you know, blah, blah, white, whatever, brings out her race, right? You have because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in basketball are huge right now. They have them always pitted against each other, Black and white, all these different things. But 5 years, I just want to read this to you. This is from Raw's Alerts on X, just as a reminder of exactly what transpired 5 years ago. So today marks 5 years since the death of George Floyd, an event that ignited one of the largest protest movements in U.S. history, which is ridiculous. You know why, though? Because social media. it would not have gotten the traction that it got if social media was not there to, no pun intended, fan the flames of everything that was going on, right? You had people out there with their phones. Back in the day, if you didn't have cell phones, it's not like you could just sit there and record everything, throw it up on social media. So the only reason this was the largest protest movement in US history is because we had the ability to see what was going on firsthand, right? So it says, in the days and weeks that followed, widespread demonstrations, along with instances of rioting, looting, and violence erupted across the nation. And again, these are people that were destroying their own cities, which that thought process will never make sense to me. I don't care what color you are, like what race you are, what age group you are, what sex you are, any of that. Destroying where you live, destroying your cities that you rely upon is absolutely the dumbest thing you can possibly do, because yeah, you might be angry, but burning down a building or going and looting this building, all that's going to do is hurt you in the long run. It doesn't prove a point to anybody at all in the least. All it does is prove that people are effing stupid. So it says here that an estimated 15 to 26 million people took part in protests across all 50 states and more than 60 countries, rallying in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. That's BLM. That's everything started then, right? The protests reached over 2,000 cities and towns, leading to at least 200 U.S. cities to impose curfews. You guys remember that? By early June 2020, more than 96,000 National Guard troops have been activated across 30 states and Washington, D.C. By the end of the month, over 14,000 people had been arrested. At least 19 lives were lost, and insured damages were estimated between $1 and $2 billion, making it the costliest period of civil unrest in American history. And the timing of it cannot be lost on everybody. Literally, the timing of it cannot be lost on everybody, because 2020, June of 2020, when everybody's supposed to be inside, right? This is also the same time during George Floyd protests when Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who we don't like, he's like not a fan of Tim Walz at all, where he had the National Guard roaming the streets with guns drawn to make sure that you were in your home and separated from everybody during this period of time because of COVID and because of Floyd, right? Those are the two reasons that they are saying. And it's just crazy to me. So this is what has happened 5 years later. This is a 6-foot bust of George Floyd on white marble now stands in New York's Union Square. So this is what's going on. In Union Square, you have this massive statue of George Floyd. Why? To me, it doesn't make sense why this is what is happening with that right now. So then let's get back to, so you have that, and I don't think I saved the picture of it, but here is the reminder. Here is the reminder that this was what Tim Walz was doing in Minneapolis. If I can get the video larger. Remember, guys, when he had, I'm trying not to get all the glare everywhere. He had literally the National Guard going through and making sure people were still inside. That is the most, I don't want to say third world, because that's not it, but the most effed up, I don't know another way to put it, right? The most effed up thing I have seen in the longest was when that was going on. This pushing fear, pushing dominance. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. Like, when I see stuff like that, it's not for the safety of the people. It's never for the safety of the people. It's about dominance. It's about showing mine is bigger than yours. And we all know Tim Walz very little. But it feels like a mine is bigger than yours kind of thing. But that's also what all of the racial divide feels like. Authoritarian. I said it right. That's what I'm thinking of. So when I see stuff like that, it's like, I can't believe that we are in this time frame where we are still 5 years later, after all of the information has come out regarding George Floyd and, you know, his loose cigarettes and his everything else and I can't breathe and all this other stuff. You would think that after 5 years, we would be in a different mind frame on what really took place. There were so many videos out there. There was autopsies, everything else that kind of went through and showed what was going on. A lot of people are saying that, you know, the way he died with Derek, how do you say, Chauvin? I'm really bad with names here. That, you know, he murdered him is what a lot of people say because he had his knee on his neck. If you look at or police training, that is a specific way to keep people from fighting back. Like, oh, that sounds wrong when you say it like that, but you guys know what I mean. It's a safety thing. And in theory, that is not going to cut off your airflow or do any of these other things. But when you have drugs in your system and all these other things, and you already happen to be overweight and you have these health issues, it's going to go very wrong for the person who happens to have a knee on their neck. So all of the protests and everything else, I feel like at the time were more out of anger and fear and uncertainty than fact. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people didn't really know what was going on. They just knew that they should be just pissed off at the situation. And so then you have all these riots, you have all these protests. And if anybody wonders what's happening, I have a dog who refuses to leave me alone right now. So when you see everything today, wherever you live, you may be seeing protests out in the streets because of George Floyd and everything else being the 5-year anniversary. And today's one of those days where I'm glad I live where I live, because ain't no way in hell there would ever be a George Floyd protest where I live, which I'm very thankful for, right? But anyway, one of the things that I was talking about is Brittney Griner. And the reason I bring up Brittney Griner right now is because she has been in the news a lot the last 24 hours, because remember, Joe Biden traded just a murderous whatever to get her back from Russia, right? Because she had THC oil or something in like her vape pen or some dumb shit like that. I did not follow it closely because I don't give half a rat's ass about Brittney Griner, the man pretending to be a woman so that they can play in the WNBA. But the reason why it's important right now is because the WNBA, who in the beginning of Caitlin Clark could sell out full arenas, which how often does that happen, right? You had them able to sell out full arenas because Caitlin Clark was one of the best basketball players as a female that they'd seen in a very, very long time. So they're selling out these basketball games, these WNBA basketball games. Everybody's really happy about it. Everything's going great. They have a great basketball player. They pit her against a black female basketball player who can't even make her own layup. And this is Angel Reese. They pit them against each other, black and white. And Caitlin Clark is more of the homely white girl, and whereas Angel Reese probably has an OnlyFans now, always has the long hair, the lashes, the whatever. They've basically made her the Jasmine Crockett of basketball. Well, there was a video out today. If I can find it, I saved it. Y'all, this is exactly how this works. Where did it go? Let me look. We're about to just type it in and try to find it. But the WNBA held a moment of silence today. WNBA moment silence. I'm trying to figure out how to find this. Floyd. Moment of silence, George Floyd. Come on, we can do it. Work internet. Look at this dumb shit. So the Minnesota Lynx, obviously, honored and held a moment of silence for George Floyd this weekend. Let's come, bigger video here. Wait, I want you guys to see this. This is why there are 4 people in the stands, because you want people in your stands. You cannot be super woke the way they are. So they have them out there taking a moment of silence for George Floyd with all 17 people in the stands. All those 17 people are obviously morons. And they had an entire moment of silence for George Floyd 5 years later, just because they happen to be in Minnesota. It's like, how about we have a moment of silence for the men and women who lost their lives fighting for our freedoms in this country, who fought for the right for you as a female to be able to do any of the things that you are doing. Like, that's kind of what it comes down to. Without the people that we should be actually celebrating this weekend and every single day, as far as I'm concerned, you wouldn't even have the ability, ma'am, to stand there in the middle of an arena with a microphone to your mouth talking about anything as a female, as a black female, as all of those things. And so to stand up there and take that time away from the men and women who lost their lives, like literally defending this country and everything else, to spend it on George Floyd, get the fuck out of here. Like, nah, if I had ever wanted to go to a WNBA game, that killed it. That is where it ends. I am finished with it. It does not matter if my daughter played basketball. It would not matter at all. And that sounds awful coming from a parent, but you don't want to go out and support places and people like this that are basically shitting in the face of what this weekend and tomorrow is about, so that they can honor some dude who made a really stupid choice and ended up where he ended up. Anyway, so you have that, right? Now, the reason I bring up again Brittney Griner, because it all kind of goes hand in hand. If y'all have been here before, you know exactly how my brain works. But with Brittney Griner, she, again, was brought back over here from, Russia, right? And where's the other video? Come on, I got it. I have way too much crap here, y'all. Way too much crap here. Speaking of women in the WNBA, I'm pretty sure LeBron is headed there next since he sucks now. The Lakers are out of the playoffs. Golden State Warriors out of the playoffs. Now you have like the most underdog looking teams in there. But why is he carrying a purse? Why are his jeans so tight? Anyway, LaDouche, not a fan of him ever since I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Anyway, over him. Where is the video of Griner? Where is the video of Griner? Wait a second. I'm gonna get there. Okay. Here. Look, I'm not gonna play anything, but if you just saw this person, would you really think that was a woman? I would not think that's a woman. And that may sound wrong, but I've seen enough dudes in my life to know that that is a man. There's a video, which I didn't save because I didn't think that far ahead. It's been around for a very long time, where Brittney Griner is playing basketball at their pool, at their home, shirtless and in basketball shorts. There is no scarring from a breast removal or a breast reduction or anything else. Completely flat. Less chest than most men, like so incredibly flat, it's ridiculous. Roses are red, violets are black. Why is your chest as flat as your back? Oh, look, it's 6th grade me remembering shit. So that's what Brittney Griner is. Her front is as flat as her back. And there is no way that that's an actual woman. I know I said her because that's how my brain has been indoctrinated. That is the right word to perceive this person from the get-go, right? But this is a man. The wife of Brittney Griner got pregnant. Brittney Griner says that she, they, whatever freaking pronoun you got to use here, is the dad. Well, let me put it to you this way. Without a dick and sperm, you're not a dad. Even if you are two lesbians in a relationship, you're both moms. Neither of you are dad. Even if you decide you identify as a man, which Brittney Griner has never come out and said that they identify as a man. They've consistently said that they are a woman so that they can play in the WNBA, because obviously wouldn't have made it in the regular NBA, right? But the fact that all of these things kind of go hand in hand for me right now. So you have Brittney Griner, the man in the WNBA, who is talking trash about Caitlin Clark and all this other stuff at the same time that you have, where is it? Hold on. Wait, this person here. So this person here is, let's go. This is a long jumper. That is a dude. That is a man. That is a boy. I don't know how old this person is, but that is not a female, but they are playing on the female team, because this is transgender long jumper, wins the CIF Southern Section Masters meet, wins it, and continues to dominate the female competition. Hernandez, who was born a male, jumped 19 feet, 3.5 inches. The second place jumper, Kaylee Best, a female, jumped 19.75. So just a little bit less, right? During a recent interview, Hernandez said he was going to win to give the haters something to talk about. And then it says shameful. What is shameful is the fact that this is still going on. So you have Brittney Griner, the man pretending to be a woman to be in the WNBA. You have Hernandez, whatever the crap their first name is, pretending to be a girl to jump into this sport so that they can have the ability to win first place, because up against other dudes, he obviously did not stand an effing chance. You have all these different men and women who are losing their minds trying to pretend that they are these things that they aren't, just so they can be where they don't need to be because they couldn't cut it where they should have been. Y'all. On top of that, because again, this is how my brain works. We're talking George Floyd, we're talking Brittney Griner, we're talking Russia, and then guess what happens? So, you know, President Trump had that conversation, that middleman conversation between Putin and Zelensky, and was like, hey, we're going to figure this out. We had a whole conversation about this just last week, how they were going to basically ceasefire-ish and then work things out, try to figure things out. Well, now they're saying today that Putin's helicopter fended off a drone attack. All right. This is what came out today, just a few hours ago. So now they're saying that Putin was on this helicopter And he was flying around, and it says Russian leader's recent visit to Kursk region drew fire from Ukrainian UAVs. That's what they're saying. So they're saying that even though President Trump technically was in the middle of this conversation between Zelensky and Putin, and they were going to cease fire, they're going to try to play nice, do whatever, that the second, I guess, that President Trump's back was turned or other people weren't paying attention, that when Putin happened to be in the airspace of Ukraine, which although you'd have to wonder, why are you there? You're not supposed to be there. The second he's in airspace, now they're saying that Zelensky fired upon him, knowing that he was in this helicopter, right? Now, did he really know? I don't have all that information yet. It's possible. If I want to find out, I'll be going to Benny Johnson, #1. Yep, that's about it, because I trust Benny Johnson to bring all the information on this at some point in time, if he hasn't already. I have not checked in the last hour or so. But this caption says Zelensky fucked up big time. It says Ukraine just tried assassinating President Putin while he was in his helicopter via drone attack, but failed. Now, you guys remember that during the whole the height of them fighting, I think it was Russia was using drones to drop the bombs on Ukraine territory, right? So now for Ukraine to use a drone to try to take out Putin is ironic. Is that what it's supposed to be? Like the irony of it all, whatever else. So then, but wait, there's more. The dog is back. He just put his little wet nose all over my arm. Maxie Poo, I love you, little weirdo. On top of that, let me go through my bookmarks here and get rid of some so we don't mess this up. So I'm trying to find all the information. We talked about George Floyd. We don't need that. That's okay. So then they're saying that a series of Russian airstrikes hit multiple settlements in Ukraine. So in retaliation to the drone strike against Putin, they're saying that then Russia retaliated and dropped airstrikes in Ukraine, so that it hit these buildings and things like this. So although it went from we are going to cease fire, find a way to work together, it feels like it has just completely re-escalated higher than it was prior to the talks with President Trump, which is not a good thing. I mean, no matter what side you're on here, Russia or Ukraine, I know a lot of us are not on the side of Ukraine for the reasons of the last president, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, spent so much of our money going over to, like sending it over to Ukraine, that we as the tax-paying citizens of this country who are basically funding the damn war are really, really sick of it, right? So when President Trump comes out and he finds a way to get them to stop, we're thinking to ourselves, oh, finally, we get to keep our money. You had DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, coming through, figuring out where all this money was going. You had this big, beautiful bill going through that's going to save us tons and tons of money, since we're not going to give Medicaid to illegal immigrants anymore, or people who are perfectly fine to work. They just want to sit on their lazy asses and take money instead. We're thinking we're going to start to be able to do something better, to make America great again, to really bring the greatness back to this place that we used to have, right? Before the last however many Democrat presidents. And instead, here we are in the middle of all of this. And since President Trump and Zelensky were in the process of signing, I don't know if signing is the right word. Let me be careful there. I don't know if they're in the process of signing, but they were in talks of the US helping to rebuild Ukraine. And it was going to cost money, but Ukraine was going to pay, US was going to pay. I'm going to get you more of that information because it's rattled up in here and I know it, but I can't like pull out the details of it right now. I can't visualize it, but this is going to put a kink in that as well, right? So you have George Floyd protests in the last 24 hours. You have Zelensky trying to murder Putin and Putin going, F you, I'm going to take out these buildings and you know, your city. And so they start bombing them. You have more transgender whatevers taking over places where they shouldn't be. But on top of that, this is the one I want. You guys ready for this? We talked about this with the big, beautiful bill and how they were going after Medicaid. And a lot of people were confused because when you listen to Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and AOC and any of those, Jasmine Crockett, any of those other lefty morons, they're trying to convince you that the president is going against the people who voted for him, that he's going against the people who need Medicaid the most, that he's hurting American citizens. And he's not. He is saving the taxpayers a ton of money by not paying for illegal immigrants to have Medicaid anymore, for not paying for Medicaid should never ever cover transgender surgery. You want to cut your dick off, you need to figure out how to get a job and pay for it. It is not up to me to pay for your mental delusions and for you to play dress up for the rest of your life. At no point in time do I want my tax money paying for your sausage or your taco, ever. There is no way that my mind would ever change on that whatsoever. And you have President Trump going through and going, hey, listen, Medicaid should not be paying for that. So he takes that off the table. And now you have the lefties all up in, panties in a twist and whatnot, because they think that transgenders should be able to get whatever surgery they want. And it should be on Medicaid. It should be on the federal government. It should be on the state to pay for these people to have whatever surgery they want. No. Anyway, so then this was on CNN. It's all of 54 seconds, but I just want you guys to listen to it because there's too many people out there that are morons. And this is going to put it into a little bit better perspective in theory after we have this conversation. So I just want you to hear what this one says with Mike Johnson. So listen to this.
Cutting Medicaid in this package. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this, Jake. The numbers of Americans who are affected are those that are entwined in our work to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. So what do I mean by that? You got more than 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid. Medicaid is not intended for non-U.S. citizens. It's intended for the most vulnerable populations of Americans, which is pregnant women and young single mothers, the disabled, the elderly. They are protected in what we're doing because we're preserving the resources for those who need it most. You're talking about 4.8 million able-bodied workers, young men, for example, who are on Medicaid and not working. They are choosing not to work when they can. That is called fraud. They are cheating the system. When you root out those kinds of abuses, you save the resources that are so desperately needed by the people who deserve it and need it most. That's what we're doing.
So that to me is the easiest way to explain all of it. It's not that the president wants to screw over the same people who voted for him, or he wants to screw over the citizens of the United States. He's not screwing over anybody. He's doing exactly what a president should be doing for the citizens of its country, right? No matter what country you are, no matter what president you are, it's supposed to be about the citizens of your country first. We've said it here before. You can't help your neighbor if your house isn't in order. You have to have your shit in order before you can help anybody else. You're on an airplane, the oxygen mask come down. You do yours first before you help anybody else put theirs on, whether it's your child, your spouse, your random seat neighbor, whatever. If you don't take care of yourself first, how are you going to help somebody else? If you don't take care of you and you can't help them the way that they need to be helped, who's going to help you then? And that's exactly what President Trump is trying to do. We are taking care of our own, and then we will worry about other people. But our people need to be taken care of first. And our people, also the ones that need to be taken care of, are the ones who legitimately need it, not the ones who know how to milk the system. Milking the system is why we are where we are as a country, in case anybody was curious, with the $33 or $37 trillion deficit. Milking the system. All the money has been spent from USAID all across the world to help everybody else but us. The second it gets taken away, you get people pissed off because, oh, how come you're not sending condoms to frickin' Mozambique anymore, or wherever they were going? Get your own damn condoms. How come you're not sending medicine for AIDS to someplace in Africa? Get your own damn medicine for AIDS. Keep your AIDS over there. I don't know what to tell you. It shouldn't be up to us to be guilt tripped into saving everybody else before we even worry about saving ourselves. So when you have President Trump coming through, making these changes, and you have people that are up in arms over it, those are the people who aren't smart enough to understand what is going on, because they've been so brainwashed by however long they've been paying attention to mainstream media and whatever else, that their ability to just exude just a hint of common sense or just rub two brain cells together has gone completely down the crapper. So when you have Mike Johnson come out here and talk about how the Democrats are pushing this lie, not even a false narrative, but this lie about who's going to be affected by Medicaid, it's a huge deal, because people need to fully understand exactly what is happening. The same people that are out there pissed off about it are probably the same ones who can't get on Medicaid, and they think it's the president's fault. No, boo-boo, you can't get on Medicaid because the family of illegals down there is taking your allotment of said Medicaid. Get them out, take them off, and guess what? That frees up the resources for you to get the Medicaid help that you need. So why are you bitching, right? Anyway, Woosah. That's what we got to do. We just got to woosah for a second because y'all know. So I'm going to read this to you from Stephen Miller, just as a little, let's put it into context here. He said, "It is impossible to overstate how exceptional and extraordinary the One Big Beautiful Bill truly is. It delivers enthusiastically on every major campaign promise in 2024 landslide electoral mandate." I do want to point one thing out. He says one big beautiful bill. You know why he added the word one? Because before that, it's big beautiful bill, which is the same as Build Back Better. And people don't want to hear that BBB. So he added the one in front to really separate it out from that bullshit that Biden tried that didn't work or whatever else. But these are the things that are in the one big beautiful bill. Largest tax cut and reform in history, which a lot of people are talking about these tax things that are going to happen. And they're like, oh, it's going to raise the prices. It's going to do all these things. Well, one of the tax cuts that's being implemented was supposed to end this year, no matter what, no matter who was president. The Democrats wouldn't be saying shit if Kamala Harris had been able to win the presidency. They would have been like, oh, yay, tax cut, tax reform. But because it happens to be occurring under President Trump, even though he's not the one who put it in place, obviously it's an awful thing, right? Anyway, so no tax on tips and overtime. That just went through. Massive tax cut for fixed income seniors. That's huge. Interest on car loans fully tax deductible if the car is American. Hello. How do people not understand what a effing genius idea this is and how amazing it is and how it's going to help our automotive companies here in the US? Y'all want to see Detroit up and thriving again? This is one of those things that will do it. Not, a discount for importing whatever from overseas. Your Rivian, I don't even know if Rivian's made here or there. Don't even listen to me. I don't know where Rivian's made. It could be here. I'm gonna stop on that one. But either way, it's a great thing, right? So then you have fast tracks new energy projects and provides protection against future regulation. Yeah, right. Terminates Green New Deal. Guess who's not upset about that? Me. No welfare or government health care for illegals. Round of applause. I'm just gonna go ahead and clap it out for us right there. Ends waste, fraud, and abuse in government welfare, the largest welfare reform in history. We have full upfront funding for the entire border wall and water barriers. We'll never need to ask Democrats for these funds, denying them leverage on all future annual appropriations bills. Another little round of applause there. Pay raise for ICE and Border Patrol, which I think is huge, especially when ICE and Border Patrol are getting the rug swept out from underneath them by our own congressmen and women, by our own citizens, by everybody else. They deserve just a hint more because they are putting their lives on the line here for these Tren de Agua, pieces of shit who are out there shooting things up and doing whatever else. Then you have full funding for every border and immigration security priority and the American people voted for, making it the most significant border and homeland bill in American history. We just had this massive article come out about how crime has been down in the last however many days, more so than it's been in like a decade. Hello, thank you, President. Thank you, President, for getting rid of a lot of the people who were causing said crime, for closing the border so less of said crime could come over into this country. You have to realize it's not it's not gray. It's literally black and white. When you can look at exactly what stopped and then look at exactly what happened due to that stopping, no more illegals. They all get deported. Crime rates plummet. Well, then, I don't think anybody's been set on fire in the New York subway in the last however many days, right? Right. So then you have here port security to keep fentanyl out of the U.S. Just today, there was a U.S. Navy ship that took over or whatever, a ship from Iran that was carrying a shit ton of drugs. So they stopped that. So that's already something that Biden wouldn't have done because, Hunter, he probably needed whatever was on that boat. Then you have funds the Golden Dome, a state-of-the-art shield against enemy missile strikes on our soil. That one sounds a little weird. Like, it feels very Truman Show because he lived in this whole dome bubble. He thought it was a sky, but really it was a dome. But who is to say we're not already there? The way the sky has looked lately and the weird orbs and the chemtrails and the whatever else, there could already be something up there. You never know. Let's see. Defunds the transgender agenda and attacks on our kids. To me, that should have been at the top. That should have been at the very top because that is absolutely one of the biggest, most important parts of this one big, beautiful bill, in my opinion. Cuts $1.6 trillion in net mandatory spending. 1.6 trillion in net mandatory spending. That is Medicaid. That is to whatever else that has been just like bullshit spending for the longest time. I don't know the specifics of it. I'm sure we could figure it out. Maybe we'll try. Maybe Benny Johnson will figure it out and tell us, because he likes to deep dive into that kind of stuff as well. And then the last one here, the most pro-American tax bill ever, including 100% expensing on new American factories to ensure the future is made in the USA. Do you remember how, if you've been here for a while, over the last however many years, we had conversations about which companies were leaving the US to take their talents to Mexico or across seas, because the taxes that the Biden administration was implementing on these businesses made it almost impossible for them. Tupperware, freaking Tupperware out of South Carolina, been there forever and a day, had to close down and take their shit to Mexico because they couldn't afford to be a made in America company anymore under the Biden regime or administration, whatever word you want to use. So you've had so many. You had John Deere who left, Ford who canceled they were supposed to build a whole ass manufacturing plant in Illinois. And at the last second, they're like, oh, I don't know. It's going to cost us a lot. The taxes we have to pay, the cost of the land, all this, all that, the mandates you got to have for that jab thing going on. We need to go to Mexico instead. So they took their talents to Mexico instead. So now you have a president who's like, listen, Tupperware, John Deere, Ford, get your ass back where you belong. Get in the house. Get in the house is basically what the president is telling these people. You've been wandering around too long. The street light came on. Get your ass in the house. This is where you belong. I am perfectly okay with that. I am perfectly okay with that. So that is where we're at. We could continue on, but y'all, I have literally worked myself up to the point where I'm now sweating. I'm glad I put on deodorant, but I really should have turned on the fan in here. So that's that. I love y'all. I guess we should end on like something different as opposed to me just, wow. Oh, let's end on this one because this one's hilarious. Okay. So remember how like in like the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, segregation was bad. Segregation was bad. And a lot of people didn't want segregation anymore. And the second segregation ended and everybody could coexist, a lot of people were really happy. Not everybody, but a lot of people were really happy. And a lot of Black Americans were like, I can't believe segregation lasted this long. This is stupid. We're just as good as the white man and woman and all this other stuff, right? Well, now there is a Texas state representative who is pushing, and it's a Black woman, who is pushing for race-based classroom assignments, claiming students perform better when taught by teachers who share their skin color. So this woman would like to bring back segregation, at least in Texas. I don't know about everywhere else, but at least in Texas, if you're Black, you need to be taught by a Black teacher. If you're white, a white teacher. I'm guessing Asian teacher, Hispanic, a Spanish teacher. Is this how we're going to do this? Because that would be the most just stupid looking school system I've ever seen in my life. So that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Just at the end of the day, ridiculous. Oh, no, we're not gonna do that one. I'm not gonna do that to y'all. Okay, I think we're done. Oh no, we'll end. This will be the good note. We'll end on a high note. Let's talk about AOC for a second. Tits McGee and how dumb she is. So she was a bartender, right? A bartender. She made old fashions. Maybe they were good. Maybe they weren't. She made maybe a French 75, maybe a bee's knees every once in a while. Probably just poured beer with a lot of head on it. She looks like that type. Y'all know what I'm saying. But the AOC, who is the new face of the Democrats, because that is who they would really like to put on the Democrat presidential ballot because it works so well with the last dingbat they put on there, Kamala Harris. She has never been married, never had a child, never ran a business, never ran a home, never managed people, never had a professional job, never served on a committee, and has no real life experience. She is your basic deadbeat socialist. And they are thinking about putting her at the head of the possible 2028 Democrat ticket for president. Can you even imagine? What I picture here is The View, those hags, how if they've ever talked shit about AOC, which they've talked shit about every single person, that the second AOC ends up on a ballot, Whoopi is going to be kissing her ass from wherever she's sitting, right? It's like, really? Really? Anyway, AOC, I like to call her Horsey. It's a term of endearment, obviously. My fun little nickname for her, Horsey. That's all, y'all. That's all. I'm going to let you go now and get on with your day, because there are other things of importance to be doing right now. Go hang out with your family. Go honor the men and women who gave their lives to protect this country of ours that we are fighting to get back. Like, that is what we are in the middle of, a fight to get this country back. And I think we're doing very well so far. And it's just going to keep going. We got 4 years to keep it trucking, to keep it going, and to bring it back, right? So I'm excited for it. We'll do a little bit of this tomorrow, but tomorrow I just want you to know, if it's live or recorded video, there will be a lot of video and there may be some crying, because I have put together a whole compilation of a lot of the moments this weekend and previously from people honoring our fallen men and women on Memorial Day. So I do have that for you guys tomorrow as well. Besides that, I love y'all immensely, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your Sunday, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Okay? Bye. Adios.